Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
You're out of line and an embarrassment.
Sit down and get played.
Right now, you're doing nothing.
No, you need to get his ass out of here. Let's get the place and talk this over.
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line. Please leave this auditorium.
All right, go on.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Habibis, and welcome to another Habibi Power Hour. I'm your solo host for now, Jay Kobbe. Your co-host, Siraj Hashmi, is running a little late because what are we if not consistent with our brand? Luckily, I have Spencer Sachs here with me for all the backdoor stuff, and knowing Spencer and how I am mentoring him, he likes the backdoor stuff. But coming into, as everybody knows, the biggest news of the week is what happened over in Uvalde, Texas. 19 children have been massacred, and 2 adults, 2 of the teachers, out of Robb Elementary School. These are elementary school students and kids who are celebrating the, I think they're like elementary graduation. I'm not 100% sure how they do it here in the United States, but like I think it was them being promoted from elementary to middle school when this sick individual, 18 years old, went into the elementary school after murdering or attempt. I'm not 100% sure whether or not his grandmother has been announced dead or not, but he shot his grandmother in the face and fled to an elementary school and started to shoot up children. A lot of people are hurting right now, and there's a lot of wild takes and reactions and stuff, and that's very expected when something like this happens and something like this hits our nation. And it's sad that our nation is one of the only ones that experience things like this, when we do have the means and the ability to keep the most vulnerable places in the United States safe. But we, for some reason, when it comes to this issue, a lot of people just like to talk over each other, and they don't want to have an actual sit down to figure out what it is that we can do in order to help keep children safe. I mean, we went ahead and sent $40 billion like it was nothing to Ukraine. We could afford some funds going to public schools, and especially to elementary, middle school, high schools, where these are they're completely made for people to just walk in and be able to massacre as many people as they want. And I feel like we don't learn our lesson until the next one. So a lot of people are hurting over this, and a lot of people are going to be frustrated on the inaction that we see from the people in power. They're so easy to vote on raising their salaries, and they're so easy to vote on sending funds to things that don't necessarily matter. But when it comes to issues like this, there's always going to be pushback on it. But we are going to be linking some links to charities and to fundraisers that you guys could go and check out for yourself if you guys are willing, if you have the means. Even if you can just take the link and retweet it or tweet it out, that would help. Over here we have from GoFundMe. I know there's a lot of issues around GoFundMe, but when it comes to causes like this, sometimes they're the best ones to be able to use when it comes to a tragedy or somewhere that where you can go and help easily, because a lot of them are verified. This is a verified organization, Victims for First. They have a goal of $3 million. They first started off at 600,000, but as the death toll started to rise, they expanded the donation limit. So if you do have the means, you can go to GoFundMe and you can donate $5, $10, $20, or even just tweeting out the link. Another organization is I think it's the First Choice Bank in Texas. They have opened an account for Robb Elementary School fund, and if you guys feel more inclined to donate that way, you can send and donate to them. I don't have their link up here, of course, because I'm a boomer. I had it up before, but I must have deleted. I'm sorry. I could find it for you guys. There it is. Some of your reactions. It is sad times right now of what was going on, and what happened to the kids. I mean, it's gonna sting. It's gonna hurt a lot when we start seeing more and more of the faces of the victims come out, and how young they were. It's not going to be easy. I mean, they're 10 years old and younger. But I hope some of you guys can donate. I hope a lot of you guys are doing okay over this, and we'll be able to weather through it. But if you have people you can reach out to or talk to or anything like that, please do. This is not an easy topic to discuss or even go over. And some of the on Twitter, some of the faces have already come out, and it's not easy. But I do want to go to some of the reactions of some of people that came into it. Of course, the first reaction is Biden with coming up in his tweet is, as a nation, we must ask, when in God's name will we stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name will we do what needs to be done? I'm sick and tired of it. We have to act. I think there's a huge misunderstanding when it comes to the gun issue, and also to the left's understanding of the gun issue and what it's really about, because the gun lobby pretty much has zero influence on a lot of gun legislation. Most of it is straight down to the voters and the constituents themselves. Guns in the United States is a huge part of our DNA, and they refuse to actually have that open discussion because it's easier for them to just blame nobodies and nothings, to pretend like they're actually doing something about these mass shootings. It's not the gun that's being picked up by itself and going and doing these shootings. I mean, when we hear more and more of what happened, we know that there are some things that could have been put in place that, if they were followed, would have somewhere along the line might have stopped him. But even then, there's not a huge there's no real hard facts to state that would actually stop them, like red flag laws, and especially how broadened they are uh, on the wording of them, that anyone in power can just put a red flag on anyone they want and stop you from being able to either purchase a gun or register a gun or any of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that are still not that none of the laws being pushed by either side would have really stopped this, especially if he was able to get a gun outside of a gun shop if he was looking for it. Another reaction, of course, was from Steve Carr. And I think this reaction is what a lot of people on the left are feeling like. Even though my own personal opinion with a lot of these people is that it's really fake outrage. It's not real. A lot of this stuff.
Basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. Since we left shoot around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly Black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this, to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
And then we're going to go play our game. What power are they holding on to by not putting it to a vote? What power? There's no power to be gained or lost if they put the background checks to the vote. None. And the guy passed the background check as well. It wasn't going to do anything. And Professor Puffer brings up a good point, because he said Asian and he didn't say Taiwanese, and he didn't even say that the guy was China on hate of the Taiwanese people. And even just if they would mention China or Taiwan, he would be in trouble, absolute trouble. And it's very easy for them to be able to speak up like this if it's talking about the United States, but he wouldn't do it over China. not so whatsoever. Spencer Sachs, our producer, coming in. Fun thing about this is that if you get a 50-50 vote, they could get it done with Harris being the 51st vote. Right. So, and the thing about this as well is, why didn't Schumer bring it up to a vote? Why is he talking about Mitch McConnell when Schumer could have just brought it up to a vote to vote on it? And now where are the senators? Aren't they on recess? It's all fake outrage. Most of it is fake outrage. They want to talk about holding on to power. The reason why that they're pushing for a lot of these things is for power. Cold Beer saying technically no, since Manchin wouldn't let them break the filibuster. Nate Clem coming in saying, I'm just as angry as he is, but his rant falls on deaf ears when he refuses to say anything about the genocide happening in China right now. And yeah, there was a bombshell BBC before we get into it. There was this incident that happened over in Texas right now. While Governor Abbott was giving comments, you had Beto O'Rourke interrupting the press conference for his own shit.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sit down.
You're out of line and an embarrassment.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
Next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here.
And the people you can hear in the back.
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please.
The people you hear screaming in the back, telling him to stop, not the people on
I
stage,
can't believe you're a sick
are
son of a
actual
bitch
parents.
and come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
Pass the mic.
And then right after this, what happened? All of the reporters stopped looking at the press conference where they were getting facts on what happened at the shooting and went and rushed to suck off Beto O'Rourke and give him what he wanted to do. Like he did this as a publicity stunt just so he can get the cameras on him and shit. And they obliged him instead of waiting and listening to the actual facts of what was happening and about the victims and about the suspect. It's absolutely disgusting. And to think that he is actually going to gain, the only favor he's going to gain out of doing shit like this is favor from other fucking dumb shit reporters and people on the coast. This is not going to give him any favors from the families and the people in Texas over what happened here. After the shooting, like it's not going to happen. And I think we're missing like this issue. I think there's multiple ways and multiple issues that coincide into this one major thing that happens with these shootings. Is one, we are extremely and utterly failing young men in this country, and especially when it is to regards of their mental health. And mental health in general, we're failing completely. Men just have a prone tendency to go to violence, but we're also failing young girls when it comes to their mental health. When we're seeing skyrocketing statistics on anxiety, on people feeling anxious and having depression, and all of these mental issues that are erupting and not just erupting, like it's catastrophic the way that it is skyrocketing within adolescents right now. But they do not want to talk about it. They do not want to bring these things up. Instead, they want to talk about math anxiety, and like that's an actual fucking issue, instead of going to the real issues of what it is that these kids are feeling. And I think that there needs to be more barriers to entry and owning a firearm for the majority of citizens. I do think that there should be a little bit more of a barrier to entry when owning a firearm. But it is not the main issue on why we're seeing these things happen. It is a tool being used by the major problem, which is the mental health of these people, of these kids. The guy was 18 years old. It's absolutely fucking devastating on both fronts that we are not taking these issues seriously as a nation, and instead of like coming together and wanting wanting to push more benefits and health and more processes to develop young men and girls and women to becoming more better, healthy individuals in society, they just talk over each other. Always. They will mock you if you say that we need to have better security in schools, that mental health in men is an issue. They'll mock you for these things. And on the other side, it is trying to say that there is no problems with guns whatsoever. There's a bigger problem when it comes to the mental health issue, but there's still a problem when it comes to guns in this country. But passing universal background checks and making people pat each other in the back for doing something isn't going to solve the major issue in what's happening. It's not. And also, President Biden yesterday came out with some remarks. I haven't listened to it yet. It's about 10 minutes. But I bet you $1 million that he is going to bring up his son, Bo, in this.
I'd hoped.
Every time he talks, I feel like he's going to fucking pass out.
Again. Another massacre. Uvalde, Texas.
Uvalde.
An elementary school.
Uvalde.
Beautiful, innocent, second, third, fourth graders. And how many scores of little children who witness what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake. They'll live with it the rest of their lives. There's a lot we don't know yet. There's a lot we do know. The parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. Parents who will never be the same. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. Suffocating. It's never quite the same. It's a feeling shared by the siblings and the grandparents and the family members and the community that's left behind. Scripture says, Jill and I have talked about this in different contexts, in other contexts. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So many crushed spirits. So tonight, I ask the nation to pray for them.
Did he just play drums
Give the parents and siblings
on his
strength
notebook?
in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done? It's been 3,448 days, 10 years since I stood up at a high school in Connecticut, a grade school in Connecticut, where another gunman massacred 26 people, including 20.
I feel like the sign language person was
Since then,
lost a little bit.
there have been over 900 incidents of gunfires reported on school grounds. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
I mean, if there's 900 incidents of gunfire in schools, why the fuck haven't they put more funding into security of schools? Why haven't they pushed for more security in schools? They were so easy to pass hundreds of millions of dollars for COVID that has done nothing to protect kids. The COVID funds have done nothing to protect kids, especially because schools have stayed out for almost 2 years. In most states, there was no in-person learning, but they kept the money to do what with? How did they make it safer for kids for COVID when they took hundreds of millions of dollars? But to do it for gun safety, or to do it to help protect kids from situations like this, they can't do it.
Santa Fe High School in Texas, Oxford High School in Michigan. The list goes on, and the list grows when it includes mass shootings at places like movie theaters, houses of worship, as we saw just 10 days ago, the grocery store in Buffalo, New York. I am sick and tired of it. We have to act. And don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage. I spent my career as a senator and a vice president working to pass common sense gun laws. We can and won't prevent every tragedy, but we know they work and have positive impact. When we passed the assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down. When the law expired, mass shootings tripled. The idea that an 18-year-old kid can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons is just wrong. What in God's name do you...
But it's totally okay for that same 18-year-old kid to sign up for the military and go and kill or drone kids on the way to school, to kill innocent people in wartime, to hold it to kill our enemies and stuff. Like, I'm not quite understanding it. And also to join the military, there is a long list of tests. They're not all 100%, but also they're there to evaluate the mental health of a person when they're going into purchasing, when they're going into the army. If there's something that looks wrong, they can't join the military. And I think there needs to be like I said before, some more barriers to entry when it comes to purchasing a firearm. But even then, it's not going to be 100%. Even then, it's not going to do Habibi.